Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to Peter Watches TV. And today I want to talk about the fact that I finally finished all 11 seasons of The Walking Dead late last night. Well, it wasn't even late last night, it was early this morning. So let me tell you about last night, okay? I had such a fantastic TV watching night last night. For those of you that don't watch my vlog or even know that I have one, I have a vlog called Peter's Vlogs that I vlog on every single day, usually sitting right out here in this chair, and I just share stories of my life and my childhood and memories and things I've learned in life. And I also kind of do an update on everything I've done for like the last 24 hours. And I talk on there a lot about TV shows as well. And so I was saying yesterday that I was really excited about last night because I had Survivor to watch, and I got caught up on that. And then I had the finale to Amazing Race to watch. And then on my Peter Does Stuff channel, I have started a movie club. It's called Peter's Movie Club. And every Friday, I just filmed this video. It's a really fun one this week. Every Friday, I pick a movie for Peter's Movie Club. And it's some movie from my past that kind of had some kind of significant impact on me, either like in my growing up years, my high school years, or you know, my 20s and 30s. It's some movie that's had some kind of impact on my life, and all the movies are for free. We're watching them on Tubi, which is a free streaming app. You don't have to pay anything to sign up for it or anything. There's just ads on the movies and the TV shows and stuff like that. So I had Trouble with Angels to watch because that was the movie from last week and I hadn't watched that yet. So I had to watch that last night to make sure that I got it done for today's video. And then I also had five final episodes of The Walking Dead. And so I got all of that done last night. I don't know how I got it done. I watched Survivor and then I laid down and I started watching Trouble with Angels and I got like a half an hour into that. And then I watched Survivor and I watched like all of Survivor and then like 5 minutes of The Amazing Race, and then I laid down and I took a nap, and then I got up and I finished The Amazing Race and Trouble with Angels. No. Did I finish? I don't even remember at this point. It was so crazy. But anyway, I finally went to bed at like 7:15 in the morning last night. I could not watch the end of The Walking Dead. I was like, should I save the last episode? Should I save the last two episodes? And I was like, no, you're just going to stay up. You're just going to be super tired on Friday, not film a lot of videos. Just get it done. Just get it done. Get The Walking Dead done. So let me kind of tell you my history of this. And this is not going to be a breakdown of all the seasons and all that kind of stuff. I'll give you guys some opinions about what I thought about it. But this is not going to be a breakdown of all that. I will say this, that I kind of felt like I was going to go through a little bit of a grieving period when the show was over. And laying in bed last night, knowing that I didn't have The Walking Dead to watch tonight, I very much did go through that. And I've been recently like binge watching a lot of shows. And I felt that way after I finished binge watching the first 10 seasons of Vanderpump Rules. I know I did, but I know it's corny, but I did. And years ago, I was really into the show Lost, and I can remember when I finished Lost, which I actually thought was a fantastic, I know people disagree with me, but I thought that the ending of Lost was perfection to the whole show. And I am somebody that at the end of a show, I want a very emotional ending. I want it to feel like a celebration of life, okay, of what the show meant to me. I mean, I've given it so much time, right? And I feel like I've lived these lives with these people that I want to feel that at the end of the show, right? And so when I watch a series finale and it just kind of like falls like short, I'm like, you know, whatever. I do not feel that. So I was kind of worried because I knew The Walking Dead, the writing is fantastic. I knew that it was going to have some kind of like very powerful ending. And in fact, I just finished watching all of the Fear the Walking Dead, and it had a very powerful ending. And neither show, I would say, the ending was like catastrophic, like the ending that I thought it would be. And you know, I think it's easy as a fan sitting on the outside watching it that you always think, well, I would do it this way, or I would do it that way, you know? But anyway, and there will be some spoilers in here, so if you haven't finished watching The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, I would probably tell you to maybe turn this off now because I'm going to talk about that. So here's the deal. I started watching The Walking Dead years ago, like many, many years ago. I think like when it first came out, I started watching it. And then like I would watch a season and then I'd get caught up and whatever. But I loved like the first 3 seasons. I was like super addicted to watching it. And then I kind of got away from it. And whenever Fear the Walking Dead started, I really got into Fear the Walking Dead and started watching that. And I like in real time watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. And I don't know why, but I liked the cast of Fear the Walking Dead better than I liked the cast of The Walking Dead. I mean, there were a lot of people on The Walking Dead that I loved, and now having just binge watched it, of course, like, I loved everybody on the show. Well, I mean, not the evil villains, but I mean, all the people on there, you know, and I'm a huge, like, Daryl Dixon fan, I'm a huge Michonne fan, I'm a huge Rick Grimes fan, you know, obviously, and I'm actually, like, a huge Negan fan and Maggie fan, and Carol fan. I'm a huge Carol fan, you know, but like Fear the Walking Dead, I feel like it got a little deeper. So if you don't know the shows, what happened was, and there was actually a timeline you can go out there and find. I Google searched it, and it was so confusing that I was like, I cannot do this, because I was going to watch The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and all the spinoffs and everything, like, based on this timeline. There's, like, this timeline out that they've put on, like, somebody's put together, right? And it's like, if you watch, like, the first 10 minutes of The Walking Dead, and then you watch the first 2 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, and then this, like, 10-minute short that was put up on YouTube. There's, like, this timeline. It's crazy to keep up with it, right? I was like, I'm gonna watch it how I watch it. But what happens is, so when Rick, at the beginning of The Walking Dead, is shot and goes into the hospital, while he's in the hospital on the timeline is when Fear the Walking Dead starts. Fear the Walking Dead actually shows, like, you don't see, like, when Rick Grimes gets out of the hospital, I'm actually reading the graphic novels right now, and they are fantastic. I'm loving them. I think there's, like, 32 in the series. You can get them all on Amazon, Thrift Books. You can probably find them at Goodwill and places like that. I have the first 3. I'm going to order the rest of them. They are such quick reads, and I'm loving them. And they follow pretty closely the storyline. They're just quicker than that. And so, like, 3 pages will be like an episode of the show. But when Rick comes out of the hospital, the zombie apocalypse has already, like, taken place, happened, and most of the cities are shut down. While he's in the coma in the hospital is when Fear the Walking Dead starts. And it shows the zombie apocalypse happen, like, in real time and start happening. And then they kind of, like, go alongside after that. And, you know, Fear the Walking Dead had a lot of characters that were from The Walking Dead. Morgan is a major character on Fear the Walking Dead, a major character. And, in fact, when I was watching Fear the Walking Dead, I hadn't watched The Walking Dead in so long that I kind of forgot that Morgan was even on it. And he was, like, one of the original main characters on The Walking Dead. And then, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Shoot! Sherry's husband. Why can't I think of his name now? The guy that Negan, like, burns his face. I was going to say Daryl. His name's not Daryl, but he gets really close with Daryl in the show. What was his name? Why can't... Dwight. So Dwight and Sherry are both on Fear the Walking Dead, too. And they're actually through like, most of the show. And they're at the very end of the scene. So I have to tell you, I just finished watching Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know, actually, like, I'm starting to write now. I keep a list of all the shows I've watched in each year, and I was like, just recently, I was like, maybe you should put a date next to when you finish these shows. So just like for the last 2 shows, I put a date. But I finished Fear the Walking Dead, like, probably a month and a half ago, and then I started watching The Walking Dead. When I started watching Fear the Walking Dead, I can't remember what season I was on, but then I binge watched it all the way through, and then I took a break, and then I finished it, finally. With The Walking Dead, I could not remember where I was at, and I had to go. I remembered that the last scene that I watched was Negan killing Glenn with the bat. I remember that that was the last scene that I saw, but I didn't remember what episode it was. And so what must have happened was, that's actually it's the last episode of season 6, and it goes into the first episode of season 7. So I must have watched the first episode of season 7 and then just stopped watching it. I don't know why, but I did. And so I went back and I watched part of the last episode of season 6, and then I started watching season 7. Then I actually went in, and I want to give a shout out to this channel if anybody's interested. I went into YouTube and I actually looked up Walking Dead recaps. Walking Dead, here it is. I want to give this channel name a shout out. They are called Skybound, and I watched, I think that's what they're called, Skybound, yeah. And they have done recaps of every season, and they're fantastically done. And it was funny because I went back and I watched them from like season 1, because I was like, I don't want to watch 7 seasons of a show that I've already seen and I just don't remember because it was years ago. As I was watching the recaps, I was like, oh, I remember that. No, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. So So yeah, so I started with season 7, I watched it all the way through, and I just finished it last night. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Season 7 and season 8 were not my favorite seasons. They were so slow that at times I was like, I don't know that I even want to finish this, if I want to even continue. It very much reminded me, if you remember the season of Fear the Walking Dead when she has the camera, and she's filming everybody's stories, like Morgan's story and Madison's story and stuff like that, you find out later. I was like so not interested in that season, and I remember calling my friend Tanya, because she had watched it ahead of me, and she's like, just skip that season. I was like, you cannot skip a season, Tanya. It's just like nothing really happens. I was like, you can't skip a season of a show. She's like, well, that season's really boring. 7 and 8 were so boring that I almost stopped watching it. But 9 is when they introduced the Whisperers. This is where The Walking Dead, I think the writing, I loved the characterization in Fear the Walking Dead. I felt closer to the characters in Fear the Walking Dead. But in The Walking Dead, the writing is just, I mean, and they shared writers on both stories, you know, writing ideas but for some of it. But the writing on The Walking Dead was just, I mean, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And The Whisperers was, you know, it's already, The Walking Dead is already considered like a horror show because it's about zombies, but it's not really like a horror movie. The Whisperers took it to that level. The Whisperers wearing the masks of the dead took it very much to this like serial killer, the strangers kind of level that I was totally not expecting. The Purge, it kind of reminded me of the Purge a little bit. And then after that, to like up the ante with the Pope and all of that, and this military corps that was like killing people in the woods with these masks that were the usage of masks was very interesting to me in the show. And I think it was deliberately picked, and I think we can get into the meanings behind some of the stuff in the show later if you guys want me to do a whole video about that. But I thought that the use of masks symbolically was very interesting. There's like whole articles written about all this about The Walking Dead. But then that happened, and then it was the beginning of the Commonwealth. Now I have to tell you, when the Commonwealth started, I was like, I am not down with this Commonwealth story. I don't really care. Like, why in the last part of the last season are we introducing this entire community called the Commonwealth? Like, why in the last hour? Why are you all not like fighting some zombies out in the woods and you're tying it together and it's going to have a real emotional end, and of course some people will die and some people will make it? Like, I didn't really understand. I was like, what are we doing with this Commonwealth thing? Like, this is stupid, right? But over time I started to like love the whole idea of the Commonwealth. And the other thing is, there's a scene in there where Carol is talking to, I think she's talking to Maggie, and it's when they've like all escaped, they like get caught and then they're escaping out in the woods and they're trying to take the Commonwealth down. It's at the very, very end. And she says to Maggie something about, when I was in the Commonwealth, she was like, I would go days without even seeing Daryl. She was like, we both had our own jobs and I wouldn't even see him. And she was like, the thing that happened after the fall was that we were all brought together, and even though some of us, she was like, we would never talk before this happened, we all of a sudden became family. And she said, and this is when she's convincing her to take down Pamela, the governor of the Commonwealth, and she said, but see, we're still family. Out here, they can't take that away from us, basically, is what she said. We're still family. The purpose of the Commonwealth was to bring them all back together on one page and to start over Alexandria. The Commonwealth, from a writing point of view, had to exist for that to happen. They had to have some major storyline where it reunited all of them together on the same page. Maggie and Negan having this conversation, which I thought was so powerful and so real, where she said, I can't forgive you, but I know that you're trying to be a better person. I thought it was such a real conversation, you know? And she said, and I'm grateful for you for saving my son and stuff like that, and that she's like, we can coexist, but that doesn't mean, I mean, the whole show is so symbolic, and the communities and the building of community is so symbolic of our world today. And I love that whole conversation that she had with him, and she said, you know, if it's a day where I can't work around you, just know that I can't. I literally, I have to tell you, was sobbing, and like, this is about as much as I'm going to get into it. If you guys want me to do like extensive reviews of each season or what I thought, please put it in the comment section below. If you have any Walking Dead questions, put it in the comment section below, like all the questions you have for me on my thoughts about The Walking Dead, and after having watched it, I'll do maybe like a Q&A Walking Dead about what I thought about this or what I thought about that, because I have a lot of speculations about things. I had to like Google a lot of stuff throughout this. Like, I was Googling, there's apparently like a part where Daryl's carrying Judith after she gets shot, and she looks up to him and says, Daddy. And people are thinking that it was going to be like this dream sequence of Rick at the end and that he was going to show up. But we already knew that Rick was going to that he had left the show and he was going on to other things. I will say the only thing that was cheesy to me was that I knew, and this is where like real life interferes with television shows, I knew that Anthony Lincoln, who played Rick Grimes, was not coming back to The Walking Dead. And so at the very end, the parts that they had in there were edited pieces from old shows. And I think they also, before he left, had him sit down and do the part at the end. I don't think they brought him back there to film. Does anybody know? I don't know if like he came back to film that very end part. But if they did, if they brought him back to film that very last part, the only thing I can think of, and if they brought, like I think Michonne may have come back to film that last part at the end, but if they brought him back, why they didn't leave Michonne and Rick, unless they knew that the spinoff, The Ones Who Love, or the Ones Who Live, because they all say that at the very end. I will say this, the montage at the end where they showed all the pictures of everybody that had passed and everybody that was still living today, I loved that so much. And they talked about, they all said that we're the ones that live, and then Judith is the one that says at the very end, because we're the ones that live, and then the screen goes to black. I'm like bawling in tears at this point. Hell, I was bawling in tears when they're all sitting around the dinner table and Rosita knows that she's dying because she got bit, and they're playing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. Oh no, that was when it got me. Because I love Fleetwood Mac so much, and Landslide is one of my favorite songs. So when they did that, I was like, okay, you got me on this, right? And the Rosita passing was so hard for me to watch, and she wasn't even one of my favorite characters on the show. Like, I have to say, over like several seasons, like, yeah, I liked her, but she wasn't one of my favorite characters. But the unity that she brought, and like all of them, and like Daryl standing in the door watching her say goodbye to her daughter, I mean, it was just so powerful. The writing of the show is so unbelievable. If you haven't ever watched The Walking Dead, trust me, nothing that I said will ruin it for you, because you will have no clue when you go into it. What I'm talking about now, these characters, half these characters aren't even in it for like the first 5 seasons, 6 seasons, 8 seasons. So, but anyway, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And this weekend I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I think I'm going to watch Bridgerton, and I think I'm going to watch maybe Palm Royale or something, Sugar on Apple. I don't know. I'm going to watch something else or some other shows that I want to watch and binge and take a little break. And then I also want to do some videos over here about some of those shows. But then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start watching, I don't know if I can make it through the weekend. I might have to just watch them. But The Ones Who Live, which is with Rick and Michonne, and I think it was a limited series. It was just 1 season. Daryl Dixon has been renewed for a 2nd season. The 1st season is already out. And then I don't remember what the other one's called. World Beyond. It's with Maggie and Negan, and I can't wait to watch that. Oh, it's a bit my tongue. I can't wait to watch that as well. So anyway, and you know, I watched Z Nation. I think I watched like maybe the first 2 seasons of it or something. I think I might go back and watch that. And then a lot of people have recommended to me iZombie, but it's just, I've watched a couple episodes, it's just not my thing. I do want to say this, though, as a avid zombie lover. If you are also somebody that likes to read books, and she used to do a podcast about Z Nation, and her name is Rhiannon Frater, Frater, and she has written a series of books called As the World Dies, and they are zombie books, and they're about building community, and there's 3 of them in the series. Actually, there's 4 now, and then she has spin-off books as well, and she also writes about other vampires and things like that. But this series alone about zombies is called As the World Dies. If you like The Walking Dead, you would love Rhiannon Frater's As the World Dies. It's fantastic. It takes place in Texas, and it's about all these people that are like running from the zombie apocalypse and how they end up in this, like, building this community together. It's unbelievable. It's one of the best books, let alone one of the best zombie books I've ever read in my entire life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you've watched The Walking Dead, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.